Julie Pace of AP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Despite all of the data points that you cited in your opening statement, when you look back at this year, very little of the domestic agenda that you outlined in your inaugural address and your State of the Union has been achieved. Healthcare rollout obviously had huge problems, and your ratings from the public are near historic lows for you. When you take this all together, has this been the worst year of your presidency?
I got to tell you, Julie, that's not how I think about it. I have now been in office 5 years, close to 5 years. Was running for president for 2 years before that. And for those of you who've covered me during that time, we have had ups and we have had downs. I think this room has probably recorded at least 15 near-death experiences. And what I've been focused on each and every day is, are we moving the ball in helping the American people, families, have more opportunity, have a little more security, to feel as if they work hard, they can get ahead. And if I look at this past year, there are areas where there have obviously been some frustrations, where I wish Congress had moved more aggressively. Not passing background checks in the wake of Newtown is something that I continue to believe was a mistake. But then I also look at, because of the debate that occurred, all the work that's been done at state levels to increase gun safety and to make sure that we don't see tragedies like that happen again. There's a lot of focus on legislative activity at the congressional level. But even when Congress doesn't move on things they should move on, there are a whole bunch of things that we're still doing. So we don't always get attention for it, but the Connect Ed program that we announced, where we're going to be initiating wireless capacity in every classroom in America, will make a huge difference for kids all across this country and for teachers. A manufacturing hub that we set up in Youngstown, something that I talked about during the State of the Union, is going to create innovation and connect universities, manufacturers, job training to help create a renaissance, build on the renaissance that we're seeing in manufacturing. When it comes to energy, this year is going to be the first year in a very long time where we're producing more oil and natural gas here in this country than we're importing. That's a big deal. So I understand the point that you're getting at, Julie, which is that a lot of our legislative initiatives in Congress have not moved forward as rapidly as I'd like. I completely understand that, which means that I'm going to keep at it. And if you look at, for example, immigration reform, probably the biggest thing that I've wanted to get done this year, we saw progress. It passed the Senate with a strong bipartisan vote. There are indications in the House that even though it did not get completed this year, that there is a commitment on the part of the Speaker to try to move forward legislation early next year. And the fact that it didn't hit the timeline that I prefer is obviously frustrating, but it's not something that I end up brooding a lot about.
Sir, it's not just your legislative agenda. When you look at polling and you talk to Americans, they seem to have lost confidence in you, trust in you, your credibility has taken a hit. Obviously, the healthcare law was a big part of that. So do you understand that those the public has changed in some way their view of you over this year?
But Julie, I guess what I'm saying is, if you're measuring this by polls, my polls have gone up and down a lot through the course of my career. I mean, if I was interested in polling, I wouldn't have run for president. I was polling at 70% when I was in the U.S. Senate. I took this job to deliver for the American people, and I knew and will continue to know that there are going to be ups and downs on it. You're right, the healthcare website problems were a source of great frustration. I think in the last press conference I adequately discussed my frustrations on those. On the other hand, since that time, I now have a couple million people, maybe more, who are going to have health care on January 1st. And that is a big deal. That's why I ran for this office. And as long as I've got an opportunity every single day to make sure that in ways large and small, I'm creating greater opportunity for people, more kids are able to go to school, get the education they need, more families are able to stabilize their finances. The housing market is continuing to improve. People feel like their wages maybe are inching up a little bit. If those things are happening, I'll take it. And I've said before, I've run my last political race. So at this point, my goal every single day is just to make sure that I can look back and say, we're delivering something. Not everything, because this is a long haul.